Audio check. Audio check. Audio check. There we go. Audio check. There we go. Audio check one more time. Audio check one more time. All right, I'll probably really start this stream at 5:15 to give people just a few minutes to get in. For the moment, I'll leave this radar loop up. Just kidding. We'll probably just go ahead and start now because I don't have a whole lot planned. I was just going to talk about a few things that I'm seeing right now. So anyway, we're looking at the radar loop. This is the Fort Polk radar since the Lake Charles radar is still in pieces after Hurricane Laura. So it looks like the center of Hurricane Delta, just a little offshore right now. It looks like it's going to make landfall pretty close, somewhere between Cameron and the Cameron-Vermilion Parish line. Parish line's right here where the cursor is. Probably here in the next few hours, but the thing that's interesting, and I'm going to go ahead and freeze this radar loop, is here's the eye wall of the storm. It's open on the backside as some of the simulated model radar output was indicating it might be. So it looks like it handled that pretty well. But we have this pretty intense eye wall of the storm right now as we speak, coming through Kaplan, what is that, Morse, Guédon, Lake Arthur, Mermentau, right there. So it's looking like the very worst of the eye wall may just miss Lafayette. So Lafayette is over here where my cursor is. Right now, looking at some of the observations in here, Lake Charles right now, sustained winds 35 miles per hour, gusting to 49. Jennings, we're 28, gusting to 44. We do have to check the time on these. This is at 4:35 p.m. So if we move the radar back to when it was that observation came in, you can see this is before the strongest convection started coming over the observation site. Likewise for Lake Charles, the observation time on that's actually 3:19 p.m. Or hold on, let me see. Yeah, so the observation that's 3:19 p.m. So this is actually pretty old. So it's important whenever there's a hurricane coming ashore that you're noting the time of the observations on here. Abbeville reported at 4:15, so this is over an hour old as well. If we back up the radar, see this is before that strongest convection got there. And was 24 gusting to 46. New Iberia, 4:49 p.m. was 38 gusting to 58. So if we back up to 4:49, that's about right in here. So I'm really interested in what the conditions are like in some of these locations now. Lafayette at 4:30 p.m. This is what the radar looked like at 4:30. Was 20 gusting to 48 on there. So it's entirely possible these areas are seeing much stronger winds. Now, I can, thanks to Doppler radar technology, I can, of course, look at velocity. The problem with this is we're pretty far from the radar. So the radar is way up here, Fort Polk area, up in Vernon Parish. And so while the velocities in here are coming in, 90 knots or even higher, which is 100 miles per hour, 100 mile per hour inbound velocities here. The problem is, if you look at my lower down here, this program is neat. It'll tell me how high the radar beam is. These radar returns are over 7,000 feet above the ground, so that doesn't really help us a whole lot. I mean, so at 7,000 feet, the winds are about 100 miles per hour, but unfortunately, that's just because of the radar beam going up at a slight angle relative to the horizon as well as the curvature of the Earth. So that's the best we're able to do. If we look closer to the radar on here, that can help us a little bit. Some of these outbound velocities on the backside are showing 60 knots at 982 feet. And we are seeing some sustained winds. DeRidder here at 435 was gusting to 39. So maybe it's still a little overdone. That's at 2,000 feet. The radar is saying that the winds are 60 knots, whereas the gusts are actually about 35 knots is what was coming in at the surface anyway. At least at, let's see, I was at 435. And again, if we back up the radar. So it's probably what you're seeing on the velocity from radar is a bit high. So unfortunately, there's just no good way of knowing what the ground truth is right now without any real-time observations coming in. Now, one thing I can look at, I have here at the Lafayette Regional Airport automated surface observing station. I can look at the 5-minute observations, but I haven't seen anything too dramatic. Looking at this, the latest one at 5 p.m. These usually run, for some reason, they hit the internet. It seems like 10 to 15 minutes behind when they actually came in. But the Lafayette Airport was 15 gusting to 36. It looks like there was a 44 mile per hour gust at 4:53 p.m. So nothing tremendous. Definitely have hit some tropical storm force gusts there. But like I said, nothing tremendous yet. I'm going to change this over Acadiana Regional Airport, which is New Iberia, see what they're showing. So New Iberia, look at this. We had a wind gust to 60 miles per hour at 4:53, 58 at 4:55, 55 at, in fact, the most recent observation at 5 p.m., we had sustained winds at 44 gusting to 55. So getting pretty gusty in New Iberia, so maybe what we're seeing in this eye wall here could be producing some good wind gusts. Let me get some of the side IDs for this. So it's KIYA is Abbeville. See if they have 5-minute observations. See, they haven't reported anything since 4:15, so the observation site presumably lost power there. And then we can check Jennings K3R7. See if they're getting anything interesting. 4:55, it looks like they've been reporting a lot of winds. They had a 28 gust 44, but I think we already knew that there. So we're getting, New Iberia is probably the one to watch right now. It's reported some wind gusts. In fact, notice in the remarks there of this, where I have the observation popped up at the third line, or second line from the bottom, notice in the remarks, peak wind gust 71 miles per hour at 4:22 p.m. So if I go back over, back to the New Iberia it said 4:22. I didn't see it in the 5-minute observations here, but sometimes the observer, I'm not sure if there's a human observer or not at New Iberia, but I would take actually what you see in the program is probably more accurate. With those kind of remarks in there, there's probably a human observer that actually put that in there, the 71 mile per hour gust. So it looks like this eye wall here is producing some wind gusts on the close to hurricane force with that. I'll be definitely interested to see what we get in Lafayette as this comes in. Now, one thing you're probably wondering about, what are all these green boxes all over my radar screen? And those are flash flood warnings that have been issued. So if we look at the one here that's for Lafayette Parish, I'll pull it up on the screen. Radar is indicating 1 to 3 inches of rain falling, which isn't too remarkable yet, but of course there's more rain where that came from. That's going to be enough to, yeah, see they're saying additional rainfall of 3 to 5 inches. So that is in fact going to probably produce some flash flooding, probably not anything tremendous, but you know the usual spots, like I'm thinking in Lafayette, Ambassador Caffrey Parkway in front of the Acadiana Mall is a common trouble spot. Any of those known trouble spots could start getting a little flooding going on here. And actually, this gentleman recognize the name of the signature. He's the service hydrologist for the Lake Charles Forecast Office, so it's probably a good warning there. Like I said, I don't know him personally, but I recognize the name. And so you'll see more of those. I haven't seen any tornado warnings. Zooming out to a bigger picture here, I mean, this is a pretty big hurricane. I mean, look at this. You got rain bands all the way up to the Shreveport, heck, even into southern Arkansas at this point. And then looking at the winds, New Orleans International Airport had a gust of 40 miles per hour despite getting virtually no rain over there. It looks like very little. Radar beam might be looking a little high to see anything that far east, but still, it's quite a large circulation. And this just caught my eye out here. We have this one platform in the Gulf of Mexico, 67 knot wind gust. That should be about that's close to 80 miles per hour, KSCF. Let me see if I can get that in the surface observation page here. Yes, I can. Look at this. This is South Marsh Island, Block 286. Now, notice it says elevation 224 feet. So this anemometer is sitting pretty high above the ocean surface. Typically, we're taking observations at about 30 to 35 feet above the ground, 10 meters to be exact. So this is above the normal altitude for surface observations. But look at some of these gusts on here. We had a 76 mile per hour gust at 355 on there. Here's a 77 at 230, a 78 at 150. So lots of hurricane force gusts offshore. Though again, I haven't seen anything too extraordinary yet. In the remarks of the Lafayette observation, right there, I see another 48. So it's definitely looking like, you know, this. First of all, this is certainly going to be enough to cause tree damage and the like. I've already heard from some sources in Lafayette that there's some internet outages, even some sporadic power outages with it. It is very clear to me this is not a repeat of Hurricane Laura, where, if you recall, I was looking at this same page during Laura, and we were seeing wind gusts. They actually clocked a wind gust on this web page for Lake Charles to 135 miles per hour before the surface observing station was just blown away there. So this isn't going to be that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get some wind gusts pushing 60 to 70 miles an hour, which is kind of as predicted in some of those text products we're looking at the last couple of days, which, to put that in perspective, that's probably somewhere on the order of what Lafayette experienced during Hurricane Rita in 2005, enough to cause certainly some light damage, blow over some trees, and of course if your house is underneath one of those trees, then you got a problem. But we're not looking at something devastating. I think we're looking pretty good on that regards. Then just one final thing to look at here. It's always fun to watch the pressure tendency here. So see about 24 hours ago, which would have been, let's see, 5:20 yesterday. See how much the pressure's dropped. So see, we're yesterday evening we're 1,013 millibars in Lafayette, and since that time the pressure has actually now dropped all the way to 995 millibars on there. As of 4 o'clock, there was 1.69 inches of rain over the last 3 hours. So that's what they were talking about in their flash flood warning. The rain rates don't look overly tremendous. I mean, it looks like it's been generally 1/4 to 1/2 inch an hour, which isn't a lot. But you know, when it does that over the course, when you get that steadily over the course of 12 hours, that's when you get 6 inches of rain. But that's kind of our saving grace with this one, is we're not looking at tremendous rainfall rates. You know, we've never been concerned about the flooding for this one, or at least not on a large scale. We can see what the Hurricane Center did at their 4 o'clock advisory, so I haven't even looked at this yet. They have it at 100 miles per hour. It looks like 968 millibars. So a solid Category 2 hurricane. I think that's just below what the landfall intensity was on Hurricane Gustav in 2008. I think that made landfall at like 105 or 110 miles an hour there. And then again, just to kind of look at the track, I mean, it's pretty much right at landfall now, but again, I just still stress this thing is going to move out of there in a hurry. I mean, look at it. They have it like pretty much right over Lake Providence, Louisiana, or maybe just across the border into Mississippi by 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So this thing is going to get out of here in a hurry. We're not looking at something that's going to stick around. In fact, I think I wouldn't be surprised if things are settling down in Lafayette by midnight. So you got definitely a few hours to get through this thing. Could get a little gusty there. I don't think it's going to be too bad. Hopefully everything is secure outside. You're going to have to watch for any trees. There's probably going to be some power outages, but at least for Lafayette, might be a little rougher over towards Crowley and Jennings, where it looks like they're getting the deeper eyewall convection there. Jennings, it looks like looking at their surface observations, they're having some issues there, so it might have knocked out power at the airport by now, wherever that surface observation, Jennings Airport. Again, it looks like this isn't going to be too bad for Lafayette. Still enough, you're going to get some power outages, you're going to get some trees down here, you're going to get some trees on houses and stuff like that, but hang in there. Like I said, I think the worst of this will probably get through you in the next few hours. Same thing over in Lake Charles. They're probably getting some good wind right now, but nothing like they saw for Hurricane Laura. Just looking at some of these are just various storm reports. See public report of power poles down in Hackberry. But yeah, that's kind of all I got. Just doing this little quick radar update. If anyone's got videos they want to send me or something like that, feel free to do so. But like I said, I think you're pretty much going to be dealing with the worst of this. It'll probably may pick up a little more in Lafayette. Like I don't think the worst is there right as we speak. It'll probably pick up some more, especially based on watching this heavier batch of convection go through New Iberia. Right here, let's check in, see if we got another 5-minute odd from New Iberia since we've been on the live video here. Let's see, we had a 62-mile-an-hour gust at 5:10. That's not too shabby. So getting some high-end tropical storm force gusts there in New Iberia. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for Lafayette. We're going to see wind gusts probably getting over 60 miles per hour, might even hit over 70, given that Lafayette is still a little closer to the center than New Iberia is. So anyway, that's all I had. I don't see any questions in chat. I'll just go ahead and keep this video up on the page. You'll hear some weird stuff with the audio right when I started, but luckily I resolved it pretty quickly. But like I said, that's all I had. So thank you for tuning in.